though? It sure has.
But has it even?
It even has. It truly has at this point. And we count it down in the 3, the 2, and the 1.
To be a god, to wield the power of good and evil, that is your destiny.
Oh, finally, I have purpose. Yep. Glorious purpose.
Yep, you can live the life you were destined to live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Play Retro. That's right, this is Play Retro, a show about old-ass video games, and I'm one of your hosts, Scott Johnson. Look, here's the deal. I like huge monkeys as much as the next guy. Okay, I'm really into them. What with their intimidation and their intimidating manners, their poo-throwing prowess. There's one big thing, though. If I am your god, don't expect any special treatment, and don't bother praying, as I don't really listen. I just make volcanoes and stuff. Enjoy.
And stuff. Oh, and I'm your other host, Brian Dunaway, the bottle. Hey, somebody's been in my notes. And I think this giant hand of God currently floating above me is about to change my small village life here in Eden into something with meaning, like a disciple of woodworking or food harvesting. Nope, I'm a sacrifice. Yep, human sacrifice. Damn you, feces tossing monkey creature. I curse the day you came into my life.
Death. You know that game has those really cool soundtrack. Listen to some of this here.
Oh my God, the soundtrack's so good.
Here. Just trippy and, you know.
Slaps. That starting is so slappy.
Oh, I know. It's really good. Some of the best stuff of its ilk, I would say. Anyway, we're going to talk all about Black and White, the PC video game from the fine folks at Lionhead Studios. And we'll talk a little bit about the follow-up Black and White 2, and also try to figure out why the hell there hasn't been a 3 or anything since then.
Yeah, just something, any kind of, nothing. Black and White. I mean, come on, you own the name.
I know. It's weird.
Microsoft.
Very influential game with very little follow-up. And we'll figure out why here in a minute. But before we do, a couple of quick things going on this week in our retro lives. I nabbed another Ambernick RG58XX.
What?
And here's why I did it. 2 reasons.
Okay, give me it.
One is I have 3 reasons, actually.
My reasons are threefold.
That's right.
Like a wallet.
There you go. Nailed it.
Credit card, a license ID, and cash. Go ahead.
You had it exactly right. So my son had a baby this week.
Oh. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much. It's all going real good. They're actually coming over here right now. They're leaving the hospital. They're going to hang out, have lunch, and then go home and get some rest. Anyway, I've been wanting to do this for a while, but my son he was really into my handhelds back when he was little. So he was playing my GBA and my Game Boy and my DS and all this stuff. Loved it when he was just a little kid, 5-6-year-old kid.
Oh yeah. And he was he was the town crier for a long time, right? On the instance.
Yeah, he sure was. He started at age 5 and kept doing it all the way through the lifetime of that show. But now he's 23. He's almost 24. He is 23.
Now there's a new town crier. I can't get any sleep.
I know. It's pretty nuts.
Crying.
But here's the thing. He loves that old retro stuff, but they're a little tight right now. New baby, life's expensive, all that stuff. So I thought, well, there's this sale, and I can get this new Ambernick for cheap, for $40 is on sale on AliExpress. I think they're gone now though, so nobody go rushing there.
Scott ordered all of them. The greatest gift you can give, the gift of retro.
Yeah, it's a great gift, right? So I'm giving him that.
Right.
And I'm also I'm going to do a little switcheroo. I'm getting the new one for me because the new one is translucent white, and I want that translucent. So I'm getting that. I'll keep that one, and then I will retrofit my current one to be perfectly suited for Nick's needs, and then he will get that with all these games on it and all this stuff, and he'll be very happy about it. So that is how I have justified the purchase of an additional Ambernick device. I'm going to get in there and do that.
This is a cycle of life that continues on. This is how I got my start into video games. Every time my dad wanted to get a new thing, he wanted to pass on the old thing. He could have just, given the thing away or whatever. But every time he got new equipment, he would pass that on to me, the old equipment, which was like gold to me.
Yeah.
And the tradition continues. I did the same thing, except I didn't do it with my kids. My kids already had a lot of handheld things. And I had a nephew. And my sister called and said, oh, he dropped his little gaming console. And I said, oh, what did he have? And she told me about it. And I'm like, oh, it's one of those little $20 things off Amazon. You know,
Yeah.
she doesn't know any difference. She's,
Sure.
you know, she's my sister. What does she know about retro gaming? Anyway, so I was like, okay. And I was like, she said, can you fix the screen? I said, no. Not for $20. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So I said, but what I can do is I can give you one of these because I'm wanting to order the RG35XX Plus. So it hasn't come in back in stock yet, but I went ahead and gave him that, and he called me immediately. And you've never heard a small, 9-10-year-old be as excited about this. I'm so excited that he's so excited about playing some old ass games.
Oh, dude, he'll remember you forever. You'll be his favorite uncle until he's
Hopefully
dead.
this is something that will spark interest in video games that will last him a lifetime.
Yep. Love that little device. So go get your, I wish AliExpress still had them on this price because this price was very limited. They only had
you said like 40 something bucks or something.
40 bucks plus tax is all so for like $42.99 or something. And when I grabbed it, it said there were only 3 left. So I got one of the final 3 and I'm sure the rest are gone now. I haven't gone back to check, but I'm sure they're gone.
They hover around that price and about $50 if you keep your eyes open when they come in stock. So if you missed out this time, keep your eyes open. There'll be another sale eventually.
Love that little thing. Brian, you also got a new Super Nintendo. You called it a treasure in our notes. I'm curious what that means. What do you got? What is it?
Oh, so this something I've been wanting. So September, who is one of our community members, good friend actually, got to see her this when we went to the Southeast meetup. I'm going to get her to see her again, hopefully this next one. So as sometimes happens, someone in our community will send me a picture with no description other than a picture and a bunch of retro games with prices and says, "You need anything?" And I was like, "Yeah." Top corner, get me that Super Mario All-Stars for the SNES.
Yeah, baby.
So I was like, do it. So, Venmo, send us a few dollars there. She got a good deal. I didn't even know where she got this from. It was a picture of a table with a bunch of retro stuff on it. I don't know if she was at a convention or she was just at some retro store or what. She didn't even say. She just said, hey, 9 to 12, just said, hey, here you go. What do you want? And I was like, hey, give me that. Day later, shipped it to me. I was like, let me pay some shipping. She's like, she never said anything. I was like, let me pay you some shipping. And so I guess
she's just too nice. There she is. Statesville Comic-Con's where she was. She's in the chat.
Statesville Comic-Con. Very good. So there you go. Yeah, but you anytime.
Statesville? What the hell does that mean? What the hell is Statesville? Is that a town? Statesville?
I don't know. I'm assuming that's probably is that in Georgia somewhere? Statesville.
Is that near Countryville or freaking Nationville? That's a weird thing to call your state.
Statesville. Oh, it's in September's town there. I didn't know that. So is this the name of so North Carolina. Very good.
Statesville, North Carolina. Yeah, never heard of it. That's cool. All right.
Statesville. We're a state.
Congratulations.
What do you want to be? Statesville. Yeah, we do that. I mean, is it any worse than places like Greenville?
Well, you guys got to share a football team, and that kind of blows,
It does kind of blow. It sucks and blows all at the
poor
same time.
Suckers. It also, you also say you got a Valentine's surprise. What does that mean?
I did. I got a Valentine's surprise. So, it's not necessarily retro gaming, but it is retro related, retro adjacent. So, I told, I've been looking for old games and old video cassettes as I've been out there looking about. And one of the things I've been wanting for a while is Beetlejuice, but I can't ever come across it. Beetlejuice. But I did mention it to Audra, my significant other, and so surprise to me, right in next to some dark chocolate. I like dark chocolate, by the way.
Me too.
It's a Beetlejuice, and so I was worried. I was like, oh, I hope she didn't spend too much money on this thing because I've seen these cassettes go for quite a bit.
Yeah, for those at home, we're talking range. A VHS copy of Beetlejuice. We're not talking DVDs or Blu-rays or anything.
We're not talking the musical. We're not talking about DVDs. We're not talking about Laserdisc. We're talking about the video cassette. VHS. But one of the most interesting things that came in here, nice little surprise, we had a sticker for a $5 rebate off of Gizmo Furby.
Don't get it wet.
Don't get it wet. Don't feed it and don't get it wet.
Yeah.
And it's got a vocabulary of 150 words and sounds. It plays games and you can teach it tricks. What kind of tricks? Probably wake up middle of the night as the batteries are going dead.
But it comes with a free Frogurt.
Feed me.
Yep. Those were the days. So that's obviously not going to work as a coupon today because that thing's not being sold anymore, right? That's an old deal.
That's right. That's not being sold anymore. Chat wants to know why VHS tapes suck. Tapes I am going for the authentic experience of how I experience these movies. And if that means a 4x3 with bad tracking, that's what I'm interested in. And
Yeah,
what's wrong with that?
I mean, is this your first time tuning in, Captain Kipper? Because this is Brian. This is his life now. He wants
I mean,
old CRTs. Look at those CRTs behind him right now. Those aren't
Yeah.
modern displays. That's not some flat screen
No.
LED night thing. That's like a nightmare, is what it is.
It's not like I'm doing vinyl or something. It's like, oh, it's much more warm. It's pure nostalgia, re-experiencing, igniting that memory in my brain because I've watched Beetlejuice on streaming. I watch it plenty of times. If I want to see Beetlejuice, I'll see it like that. But when I get teleported back, it's like when you smell something, you got that, you smell something like, oh, I just been taken back. Or you hear that song, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm taking them.
That tape's got that it's got an old tape smells, what that smell is.
Right. That's a bunch of dust.
What does it smell like? Tell me, wait, give a big whiff to the thing. What does that thing smell like?
Literally smells like nothing. It's plastic.
I was hoping to be like some smoker guy owned it, or
no. I try to be aware of that. And usually when I order stuff, I look for stuff this smoke free home, that kind of stuff. And if I pick up stuff at the thrift store, I'll give it a sniff. It does have to pass a sniff test before I put it in my office.
You want to see if it's got like I don't know, smells like cloves or something.
Yeah, and we talked about it. I've found retro stuff before with pot in it, so it happens.
That's true. You could easily find a little bundle of the good weed in there.
Yeah, I could find a little bit of the good weed.
The good weed. Well, anyway,
but
goodweed.com.
To me.
Yeah, that's great. Look, you get what you get, and you tell us about it. And there's also a bit of news here. I don't know when it premieres. We got to keep our eyes open for this, sometime in March. But the X-Men 97 thing's coming at Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to watch that with you and the community via Discord channel because that's the legal way we can do it.
Yeah. I feel the same. I don't feel bad about watching watch parties on Discord.
No, I don't at all.
It's a small community of people. It'd be like if unfortunately you can't come to my house, but that's okay. I'm not charging you for it. We're just some friends. We all have equal interest in this. It's all going to be good. Not to mention, all of us probably have the darn streaming service. All of us is good.
Yeah, everyone's got it. Even if they don't, whatever. It's like having people over to your house. That's how we're going to do it. So all I'm saying is, like, coming up, whenever it is, do we know what the premiere is? When do we know? Let's look it up.
Is it middle of March or was it? I can't remember now, but I'm very excited. Is the continuation. If you ever watch the X-Men cartoon, the one with the great theme song, it's the continuation of that, and it's very much got that flavor.
It's that style of animation. It's that that's the story that we ended on there. All of it. The trailer's out now, so you can go see what's going on. But it's literally a direct follow up to that old ass '90s cartoon. And let's see, it is
upcoming.
Here it is. Release date March 20th on Disney Plus.
I thought it was that. Yep.
It will run for 10 episodes. The premiere they'll come week by week, so we have to make a decision. Do we after the show on a Friday just kick right in and start with number one, or do we wait till they pile up? Like, how you want to handle that?
Let's watch it as it comes, baby. Why wait?
Okay.
I'm not denying myself that luxury.
All right, we're doing it then.
Sir.
Count on it. Count on it, for real. We're doing it. We might invite Ibit or somebody who loves Marvel and can't get enough.
Oh, does he like Marvel?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Just a micron of interest in Marvel.
He might be a little sick.
We'll see what's going on there. All right. Well, that's going to do it for all of our disgusting talk about all that business. Let's now move on to today's main topic.
Shall we play a game?
We shall indeed. Let's talk about the game Black and White.
Yes.
I'll give you a little bit of intro first, so you can kind of hear what this thing sounded like.
A land of innocence has no need for gods until fate intervenes.
Keep away from the water!
Stop!
As you can hear, we got some really stupid locals involved.
Yeah, this is the island or land of Eden that is occupied by what I can best describe as polygonal or polygon wrapped hobbits.
Yeah, they're weird and kind of gross. But it was also, a long time ago. It's 2001. We were just sort of getting our hands around what 3D even meant, especially a game where you're meant to see it from a more pulled out view. It's a God game, and you're not meant to be all up close. But for what it was, when it was good enough, and it caused me to have to upgrade my computer. I couldn't play this game when I bought it. I had to buy it, and then I went, oh, this is running very poorly. I'm going to Newegg, dear. I'll see you in an hour. And I went to Newegg and bought some new
It caused me great envy. I had a friend who purchased Black and White. I remember seeing it at Fry's. I was very excited. My friend told me they purchased it. I didn't really know a lot about it at the time. I didn't know who Lionhead Studios was. I didn't know none of that stuff at that point because it was a new studio. I wasn't keeping up with the game and used it back then. Anyway, I was enamored. Let me borrow it. Tried to put it on my PC. No go. Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I just envied him from afar. And by the time I did have a PC that would run it, I never installed it. So this is my first time playing Black and White, and it is totally different than my memory has allowed me to remember. Other than the box is still sexy. It's I went to Fry's Electronics.
Yep, Flies.
And in Awatuki in Phoenix. And on the one side is a flap, and it's black, and it's got this really cool yin yang dragon kind of logo thing, and you open it up and it lists out it's got little great all screenshots and stuff, which look really good in 2001. Then you can flip it over and it's a white side, and you flip it open and there's more pictures and stuff of how to be good or evil. On one side is the good side. You got your nice little god hand. The other side is all crippled up and dungeon keepery looking, and and
that was the whole idea, right? The term Black and White was not about color or something to do with the game itself. It was about the difference between good and bad, the opposites, the yin and the yang. And you had the the little devil guy talking to you, a little angel, old man angel guy talking to you, and you got to decide as the game went on what kind of god you were going to be. Are you going to be a terrible one that would just inspire fear in your people, or are you going to be one that was always giving them good stuff and making life easy or whatever? And that was the game. And
that was the game.
It's Peter Molyneux and Steve Jackson.
Yeah, that games guy.
Yeah, it makes card games now. He's your Munchkin guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was head of this team. It was kind of his project with Molyneux sort of just watching over everybody like a rich old fart.
Molyneux had the greatest anywhere. Okay, so let's talk about him for just a second. Peter Molyneux over the years has become known as a liar, pants on fire. Mm-hmm. I think it's a little bit harsh to see him that way. I think he's one of those guys that gets really excited about an idea and can get a lot of people on board, and it makes really big promises, and then those promises are not obtainable. So he ends up, but he still keeps selling it. He's always, he keeps selling. He's kind of a salesperson, but he's kind of like also an idea guy, and you kind of want to hate him, but also, would things gotten pushed as far as they did if not for him? I don't know, because he really was the one that was pushing, the no HUD interface on Black and White, which makes this game really unique in God games, because there's
then
really
or
no
since
interface.
Then or since it really
then or since,
changed the way that stuff was, and a lot of games are still nervous to even go there. So it was really like this. I don't know. It had a sensibility of being a true sandbox, because you were just like, well, it's just my huge hand. This is it.
My hand. I drag the ground to move around. I pick up stuff. I can pick up my denizens, and I can play. So like other games, if you wanted to assign a citizen to do something particular, like a specialist, you would assign it through a bunch of boxes and stuff.
Yeah, you want a guy to chop down trees, let's say. Most of your city builders / God games would have click the guy, then a little menu would come up and say assign to this, or you would click on the tree and assign a person, and then you would choose that person, or you would do it more broadly by saying, I'm selecting a chunk of forest. I would like 4 people to come do it, and then programmatically it just does it. But this game was more like, what if you just sort of gestured around and figured it out?
What if you picked somebody up and you hovered your hand with this person squirming around in it, and you put them near a tree, and the little icon pops to their head that says tree, and then you put them there, and suddenly that's the only thing they do. And so it's kind of a little micromanagey, but for the most part, you don't need too many specialists for things, because the city does a pretty good job. The AI in this game is pretty good. It's for a game from 2001, it's probably exceptional.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. And the thing is,
Yeah.
by this time, Lionhead and Molyneux were deep in talks to work with Microsoft on Xbox games. They would bring out the Fable series not very long after this. So we were in the middle of Molyneux selling everything to everyone, and a whole lot of people, including high-ups at Microsoft with their brand new console, getting them excited about some pretty far-reaching promises, which even in the case of like Fable, he made all kinds of promises with that game that in some ways it equaled the promises, but there were a few where it was like, that didn't happen.
yeah.
That never came to this game. And that's kind of his thing. Like even recently,
Yeah.
that Goddess game, someone in the chat brought it up. GODUS, that was like the latest, greatest from them. And it had a promising start. It was a return to this sort of stuff, like another God game type thing. And then it just petered out and petered. It stopped being worked on, and now it's just kind of dead, and I don't know what happened to it. So I don't know. But Molyneux has always occupied this space of like half genius, half shyster.
Yeah,
It's hard to explain.
Yes.
It really, really weird.
It
thing.
really is. It is. Yeah, but he always seems to push it across the finish line. But then we kind of all step back and go, well, that wasn't as good. But he gets still excited every time. He's really good at it because when Black and White was coming out, everybody was super excited about it. I mean, so some of us kind of us just as consumers being overly excited. So some of the hype wasn't all about Peter Molyneux making us get excited. It wasn't making all those promises. Some of those promises we were making ourselves. He just wasn't correcting us. He was kind of like going,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. If that's what you think about it.
Yeah,
sure,
if that's what you want,
sure.
it'll do that. Oh, can this read my mind and then make my character move based on your thoughts? Oh yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah.
Sure. That sounds good.
That sounds good. See you guys later. No questions. Like it was a lot of that.
Questions.
And Chad just reminded me they had that thing during the 360 era called Project Milo. I completely forgot about this.
Oh yeah.
This is Molyneux and Lionhead doing this project for the 360 that used the Kinect and all this stuff. But anyway, the idea was like a controller-free thing where the character on the screen, this kid named Milo, would like recognize what you were saying and doing, and would respond. Actually, you could throw a ball, and Milo would run and get the ball. You kind of treated the kid like a pet. It was weird. And that never happened. That never came out.
Once again, big ideas gets everybody excited. Some proof of concepts happen. You can't do it, but you're never going to make it across the finish line gracefully. They never. I guess the question never gets asked. Yeah, but is it going to be not buggy? Is it going to run consistently? Because that's what dogged Black and White. We get to control creature here in Black and White. One of the most memorable parts of Black and White is the creatures you get to command, because you have a sphere of influence that as a god you can interact with this land and the people on it. But to have a direct impact, you have a creature that you pick from 3.
You have to capture it, right? Don't you have to capture it or something?
No, you have to go through a test. So Sable comes out and she's like the creature keeper. And so she guides you because you're a new god. You're a new god in this story. The people have called, they've prayed out. And so you're created and you come down, you're like trying to figure it out. And so Sable comes in and says, okay, this is what you need to do. You need to go collect these 3 stones around the area and then come back to me. And then we'll look at the different creatures. We got a cow and some orangutan ape monkey thing.
Big old ape.
And then, and then like a tiger, leopard, ab ripping
unit
lion thing unit. So, so you get to pick between those. And all those have impacts because if you pick, they'll tell you when you're picking your characters, some of them are faster learners. Some of them, I guess, have other attributes. They don't really go into it. This is where kind of some of the hand waving and this hand wavy hand god thing is going. And there's my face coming out of the bottom of the junk.
Yep.
Black and White. And so
listeners at home, I just put something up on screen. That's why Brian's referring to it. That's going to sound insane to anyone who's not seeing the video, but keep going. Continue.
But trust me, I'm coming out of the butt of a creature.
Yeah.
But I ended up picking a cow as my creature that I would have kind of to do things around the village while I'm busy. You basically train him to do miracles like you do. You like providing wood, water, healing. Different things that the god is providing for your citizens. and you can kind of teach him to do some things, but he's also got his own alignment and agenda. So he will kind of do some bad things. And you've talked about it a couple of times, talking about the monkey that throws the poo.
Yeah, he's a poo thrower.
Monkey.
I was
Yeah.
monkey. I was 100% team monkey for this game.
Right.
And I used I could care less about the cow or the wolf thing. And so I was all about the monkey. And the monkey had one
Yes.
particular ability, which was he could, or the others didn't seem to have. He would poop like a monkey, like monkeys do. They just poo. That's what they do. He would take a dump, and then he would sometimes, and often you had to be prompting him to do this, but he would sometimes pick up that poop and throw it at the villagers. So there's that.
Most of the AI work went in on the creatures because they had their own behavior patterns, and and if you did not correct those behaviors, they would be reinforced. So, but if he did, let's say the creature picked up one of the citizens and ate them, which happened way too many times.
All the time. Yeah,
all the time. So what you do is you have to slap him around, and man, I thought it was funny at first. I started slapping like pap, pap, pap. I was like, stop doing that. Pap, pap, pap. And you do that by swiping the mouse, left and right. And it just your big giant hand smacking him. He's going, oh. And it's all funny, right? It's slapsticky. But then you start realizing you're leaving purple marks all over his body.
Oh, yeah.
And those stay forever.
Yeah, they're bruised for the whole game. The entire game, you have bruises on your monkey or your cow or whatever it is.
If anybody learned something, I learned something from that, because I was like, because I thought it was funny, so I just kept slapping him even more, even though the lesson had been learned. There's a meter that reads up 100% up for when you're petting them, which you can do up and down, very gently up and down. And if you go side to side, it slaps them. And there's a bar that's like good boy, bad boy. And even after I got to 100% bad boy, I was still slapping him. But that's when the bruises started happening. Yeah. And I was like, oh, now I'm feeling very bad. Can I do this on screen? Am I going to get banned from Twitch?
You're hurting the monkey, really. Yeah,
right.
You're hurting it. You're making this monkey or the cow or whatever you chose.
Yeah. I chose the cow, which is a mistake. Don't choose the cow. Always choose the monkey. You got to train these creatures, and the only one that has any intelligence and has the ability to learn is the monkey. The rest of them, you think throwing poo is bad. Wait till you get to a freaking cow or a freaking horse, which you can trade in for later.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. That is the thing in that game. You can go all horsey if you want to go horsey.
Yeah, there's like another, after you get to a certain point in World Land 1, you can there's a hut that you can go to, and there's like some different creatures you can choose from. And I chose the horse, and he's very majestic. He's gorgeous.
Sure.
But he does have a habit of just going and sitting out in the water, like cross-leg style, and just, doing his yoga poses and stuff. Yeah. And it's pretty good. Oh, you're showing the cow getting the lovinge right now.
Yeah, the cow's getting the scratches, and he's into it. He doesn't have any udders, though, which I think is disappointing.
Which is utterly ridiculous, right?
Because it's not really a cow at that point. Then it'd be a bull, right? Cows are female, bulls are male. So what the hell?
And these are anthropomorphic. If you're trying to use your mind's eye to imagine what we're talking about, these are anthropomorphic. These are like what's furries? They're a bunch of furries, is what they basically are. Like a bunch of furries running around, and you're
they look like cosplay. Yeah. You could see somebody dressing as that tiger at a party or something. Yeah,
that tiger, man. That tiger is ripped.
Yeah,
I'm assuming he's
big time.
I'm assuming he's really strong, and that's important because we haven't talked about the thing you're really doing here in Black and White. Sure, we're doing like Populous and other god games where we're trying to grow our village, and we're trying to grow our influence through miracles and different things, and we're training our creature to help us in that quest. But the big overarching story here is that we are competing with other gods. Yeah. And so you have to train your creature to be able to fight. And the fighting is not good like random like Pokemon good. You know what I mean? Where you're fighting like that is somewhere between, you're actually in control and not really. You're clicking on spots on the screen or on the other character. It's kind of loosey-goosey. Not my favorite part of the game, the battle mechanic.
Yeah, I don't love that either. It just feels tacked on and not fun. It's just not fun. Now, I understand why that seems like it'd be cool, though. Like, hey, your giant creatures are going to fight. Yeah, that's fine. But is that the point of the game? Was never the point. That was never the point of the game.
it was kind of a mini game, and it felt like an afterthought, like you said, because 2001, we were starting to see games where we want to play multiplayer, and that is part of this game. You used to get good on servers or on the LAN, and you could play your friends, and the way you would interact, you're competing God. So you would fight your friends with your creature. And so there had to be a gaming mechanic that would allow you to do that. And I like I said, like you said, it felt tacked on, it didn't feel that great. It's
all
fun.
right,
It's
but
fun the first
it
couple
was
of times
more,
you do
yeah,
it.
the more fun was found in, like, you'd start, we haven't mentioned this, but you start with, you can choose like one of 8 tribes, like Norse, Celtic, Japanese, like there's these different groups that you can choose that are familiar. And then they each have kind of a different wonder that you're trying to expose or, have be a big deal in the game. And like you said, you can assign all your villagers to do stuff, and you do it with these gestures and these sort of drag the guy by the river. What's he going to do? Oh, he's probably going to fish. Okay, cool. And now he's a fisherman. They'll start families. If you destroy that temple, you're screwed. The game ends. So you
the
want
temples are very important. That's
right.
It's
almost like it's a
win-loss
aspect of the game. Without the temple, you're
Right.
dead. So you gotta keep your people happy. And if they riot, they can burn it, they can destroy it.
Yes.
Attacking armies can ruin it. Like, there's all kinds of reasons why you want to keep that temple up. So keep it up.
Another game that we love, but yeah. And breeders are fun because, once again, you grab some people. It's kind of disturbing. It's kind of got like a Sims vibe to it.
A little bit.
And it's when you pick up people, you can put them near the homes. And it also kind of reminds me of what was that Fallout that Fallout mobile game they had for a while, where you'd put people in a room and you'd help them breed.
Fallout
Shelter?
Shelter, Fallout Shelter. That's it.
Shelter. Yeah. Okay, that didn't seem right, but yeah, Fallout Shelter. So basically the same thing. You grab a random person, you put them over near a housing unit, and it'll have a little heart symbol above them, and you just put them down, and then they're breeders, and all of a sudden other dudes, little hobbits will come hopping along, and man, it's all polyamorous. It's like a whole bunch of you can see it through the walls because this is 2001, so you got character models poking half of their bodies outside of house walls and stuff. It's kind of disturbing, really.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
it's
to say the least.
It's worse,
to say the least. But the goal in general, right, of overall, of these levels is to gain control over every villager in the town. You don't want ones rebelling. You don't want ones where they're not assigned to anything and being lazy. You just want to try to unify everybody, right? And they get bored. So if you're trying to impress them all the time, they'll get bored with you trying to impress them with shows of power. If you don't show them enough power, they won't respect you as their god. So there's like this balance, which is where I think the game shines. And the reason it's a classic is it does that stuff extremely well. And they delivered on that promise really well, of feeling like you were directly affecting this and you had to temper your actions. Like, well, don't overdo it. And if you, like you said with the animal, even with the big animals, when you're slapping them around, that's a deterrent from being just a complete ass to your giant creature.
Yeah.
And so the game was great at that. The concept of black and white, yin and yang, light and dark, is very much part of everything that happens in the game, with the exception of the monster on monster crap. That was a kind of pointless, but
you can choose to be good or evil, and your hand will reflect that over time, and it can have an impact on how you take over rival gods' villages. Because they usually respond better to violence. As a matter of fact, lots of times you just destroy another village and you replace them with your own people. And so you get to do all that, but your creature also has an opinion of you. So if you go into the temple, which I really like, so instead of hitting like an F2 or some kind of function key and going out to your menu systems and looking at all this stuff, to maintain that immersion, you go inside this temple, and it's all very 3D looking related, because you basically spin around. You got these different rooms you can choose from to go to your options. You got your game saves, by the way, which didn't never work.
No.
And these user patches, we'll talk about that very shortly, kind of sort of fix that. But you can go to your creature room and you can see what the creature thinks about you, and what they need to learn, how they can learn it. But it's not overly descriptive. It's just like, you should let your creature watch the citizens fish. And you can do that by taking your creature, and you have a leash. You got 3 leashes. You got one this of learning, and that's the one I use the most. There's one of, is it called It's basically the bad leash. He does bad things if you put this leash on him. And then there's the nice rainbow colory, cozy one that I like to keep on him too, where he'll do nice and kind things.
Right.
So man, it is so many layers deep, but it looks so simple on the surface.
Well, they used a thing that's based on a real behavioral study thing called reinforcement learning systems, and they used that in the game. That's like a real thing you do with like kids or training dogs, or there's different applications of it, and they use that as the basis for it, and it was kind of scientifically sound by at least simple standards, because it's just a game. Well, that's it's cool.
We just wanted theory. That's all we really need to make a game. Good theory.
Yeah, it's pretty rad, I thought.
It doesn't have to be realistic. But man, did you happen to get the sea shanty? One of the things that always excites people. I meant to send you the thing earlier.
There's a song. I want to find this.
Oh my God, the song is if you've never heard the song, is the most amazing thing. When you're first starting out, after you do a few things, they tell you to go to the beach, and there's a group of guys on the beach, and they're building a boat, and you got to supply them with wood and grain and some meat so they can go along. But they make all their requests, as these citizens do. They're very whiny, very needy, and these do it in a very creative way, which is where they sing you a song.
I found it. You want to hear it? I'm gonna play
yes.
it.
Give me the stuff. Yes.
This notion that we quite like to sail the ocean, so we're building a big boat to leave here for good. We're not keen on sinking, so we're all sitting here thinking, cause we built it too big and we've run out of wood.
So they got all kinds of weird shit like in there.
Oh,
like, here they are singing.
Totally. There's that kind of singing stuff, by the way. That was definitely a group of Lionhead employees just coming up with some shit on the fly.
100%, dude. 100%. Those guys are like, hey, before everyone goes to lunch, can we meet in the conference room? Bring the mic while you're in there. And does someone have a freaking accordion? Okay, cool. Let's make this. Let's make this song.
Let's get on it. We're about to make a part of our game. It's going to be great.
I kind of miss that about early devs. They would use their own voice work. Even like Warcraft, StarCraft, even. Most of the voices in those games were coming out of people in the office. I love that.
Yes.
Not that look, there's a whole business around voice actors. I'm not saying that should go away, but I am saying there was something raw about just the ground level, like, get what's her name from accounting. She has a good voice. Let's go. Yes. I love that.
We just did it because that wasn't what you thought of when you made games. When you thought of making games in this time period, you were usually smaller groups of people. And most of the people on the payroll were people who were really good at programming, making graphics, and getting the basics down. But then when you go, I want to do a little more immersion or a little more theatrical part here, then that's when you couldn't just go, hey, can we carve out a little bit of budget to go get some name actors? No, you cannot. You may record this yourself, and I'm almost positive all the characters are wrapped in, scans of people's faces from the office. I'm almost absolutely 100% sure everybody you see is just some employee from that time period.
Well, that's the reason. People are always like, how come Metzen's in so many of those early Blizzard games? It's because that's what they did. So when you hear Thrall talk and you go, that's Chris Metzen's, because back then that's what you did. And it stuck. They still use him for it. And he has a great voice. But it wasn't because they didn't go, we could get a real big actor in here, but what let's do instead? Let's go down the hall and get Chris to do it. No, they did it because it was cheap.
Cares.
And even StarCraft 2, and he's the not carrier has arrived. What's the big ship the Terrans fly?
Someone in the chat room will know.
Operation,
I'm sure.
Operational, that thing. Anyway, he does that. He does a whole ton of those. And it's because, he's got a booming voice. He already works here. We don't have to pay anybody. Let's go. And that's how they did games back then. And I kind of miss that a little bit. I mean, you see it in indies here and there. Indies will do it, but old school. Battle cruiser has arrived, or has battle cruiser operational. That was Metzen. Anyway, one other thing I like about this game is it had a mode or an ability to import actual weather into the game. So
Yes.
this was weird though, because I remember trying to do it and it was a pain in the ass. We were not like all internet connected so much as it was. Like it was, if I remember this right, it wasn't pulling from a weather service. Maybe for some people they could do that, but for me, I didn't have the option. It wasn't pulling from some weather service like you might do today. Instead, it was, you would have to go to a certain, I don't know if it was weather.com or somewhere. I don't remember what it was, but you would download some kind of raw, almost XML like data of the day's weather, import it into the game, and then the game would be like all snowy if we were having snow that day, or you'd have rain at 4 because it said there's expecting to be rain at 4. I remember thinking that was some magical shit.
That is some magical shit. And this was a time when we were doing all this CD copy protection.
Yeah.
And one of the benefits of this is if you had to register. You had to register this game. You didn't have to register it, but if you wanted to do the weather stuff,
you had to do it
register.
then. Yeah.
That was their little reward for you. It's like, okay, come on.
Yeah, it's kind of
Come
cool.
on, stop swapping this with your friends and just get your weather data right here.
The problem the biggest mistake I did with the game, or the biggest problem I had with the game, is it was so open-ended that when you give me that much open-endedness, I kind of just screw around. So I would not really stick to the plan. I would do a lot of like, well, let's see, if I throw this rock hard enough and it hits a bunch of villagers all chilling out by the fire, what's the ramifications of such an action? And I'm sure that they wanted us to experiment that way. That's the point of the game. But I would get I get way off goal and do stuff I'm not supposed to, and then end up dying, or the temple get destroyed because I set off a chain of events that created all kinds of chaos. But to me, that was that game. And I'm sure there are people that really adhered to the goals and really adhered to trying to get to the perfect ending and all that other stuff. I didn't. I was just like, how much poo can I throw? How much weather can be bad? How pissed off can I make this villager? How far can I throw him into the ocean? You know?
Yes.
Look at that guy down there fishing. Let's grab the fisherman and throw him 60 miles off the northern coast. That's what I was up to.
But that's what we wanted to play. That's what we realized we wanted. But the game forced you to ride the ride. And there was so many things happening in that first land alone, and things I wanted to explore. But the game kept pressuring me and pushing me to complete the mainline quest, because you had gold scrolls and you have silver scrolls, where the gold scrolls are the main quest, and then the side quests are just anything. Maybe some villagers, maybe somebody got lost in the woods, or maybe there's a creepy guy outside the village just kidnapping all the kids, and you gotta deal with that. But yeah, I'm with you. I was more like, I want this to be more cozy. I want it to allow me to just sit back, relax, sandbox the crap out of this thing. And as I was playing it, I was like, man, this game, if it could have went a little bit longer and they could have found a way to have this procedurally generated worlds that just got bigger and bigger and just allowed you just to do, just to do your weird influence thing that you were doing just on a larger scale. It felt really small to be a God game. But they addressed a few of those things in the next release, which was the Black and White Creatures Isle expansion pack.
Right, I remember that now. That was a how did I feel about it at the time? I think I kind of didn't like it.
It was released the next year.
Yeah.
It kind of went. It realized it went to its strengths, which was people loved messing around with the creatures. They did not like having to fight the rival gods. That was an interesting storyline to push through in the first one. So they got rid of the rival god stuff. Instead, you're dealing mostly with creatures in the village, and a lot of the tedious stuff is gone. And your creature even gets a creature in this one. So this probably would have fulfilled what you were missing or didn't care for as much in that first one, to expand on this Black and White game.
For sure. The multiplayer was interesting too, because that's where I think the creature stuff maybe got a little more interesting.
Yes.
Because you were playing against another human. And we did that on our LAN at my office, and I remember it being okay. Like, it was okay. Yeah. There were other things we'd rather play. Like, I would rather fire up Unreal Tournament or Counter-Strike or something else, Doom 2.
Yeah, the multiplayer was interesting, but, the battle was never that great. Really, it's basically raising creatures. I mean, this is a pocket monster, right? You might as well. That's what the game really was excelling at, that it never recognized and said, oh, you know what's cool? messing with this creature, giving him some influence, and then just seeing what he does.
Right.
Because that's where this game really shines.
Yeah,
And
I was more like a sandbox of like, what happens if I do this? And I love games that still to this day that let me screw around like that. There's a game called I forgot the name of it. It's something with an N.
Game.
It's short named N word. It's not the N word. It's an N word.
Right.
Niles or Noonie, something like that. Anyway, it's basically fully destructible environments, crazy weapons that like melt the ceiling and to pump water into things. And basically the whole goal of that is to traverse around. It's a roguelike, but the goal is to try not to get yourself killed by using all these crazy contraptions. Someone in the chat's going to know this name. And it is so much fun just trying to, survive, but also just saying, I wonder if I blew that stalactite off the roof.
Yes.
What would it do? Would it kill the enemies below? Will it create a new hole and a problem for me? Will it explode and shatter all over me? Like, I don't know until I try. And that's black and white to me is, I don't know until I try the video game.
Yes.
And I loved it for that.
Yeah. Even though, like the first one, you had the shoulder angels or devil, and they kind of guided you along. And, they would toss a little bit. The voice acting is just hilarious on both those guys. Also, the devil guy and his saggy polygonal boobs are hilarious. And he's also wearing some kind of thong. Anyway, it's really disturbing. But having those guys kind of on your shoulders throughout that first whole area until you get to the second land, then you start talking to other gods and stuff. Then it gets a little more open worldy and let you kind of do what you want to.
Yeah.
I like to do the same thing. I like to experiment. It's like, what if I throw fireballs over this? What if I shake the fireball in front of these people's faces? What if I pick up my villagers and I shake them around a little bit, and then I put them all in a big circle, see if they'll dance.
Yeah. What if I put one in? What if I toss one in the volcano? Will they see it as a sacrifice and a good thing to do, or they see it as a horrible, awful, we need to rebel against our God problem?
Yeah.
Like,
by the way,
that's fun.
There's something I love about this game that I didn't realize at first, and it's when your villagers start dying. You can bring us some stats and see, it'll tell you what the characters are doing. You don't have to have that on, but I like turn on occasionally just to see some stats.
I like stats.
And they'll be walking around. They're like, oh, they're mourning someone who just died, and that's when you realize that there is this voice, this like following you all over the place. And it's like, what the hell is going on? And so that's what's happening whenever there's people dying in your village, you'll get that. So it's like, oh, so then you go back. I found that. One way to increase your ability to perform miracles. I don't know if we talked much about the miracles yet. Miracles are gestures you make. So, or you can.
They're patterns, right? It's like a circle and a slash or a triangle.
Yeah, you do a little spiral, and it'll allow you to bring up the options for miracles. You know how to create like zigzags, and you can do like make wood from thin air. It impresses the locals. Whatever. I'm just doing my God thing.
Doing my God thing.
Just doing my God thing, man. Just, making some gestures. So one way you power that, though, is when you're in your temple, you can add on to your temple, and there's a place where your villagers all come in and they celebrate you and worship you, and you can make them do it too. You can pull up the tower and go, come worship me. And they'll do it. Yeah. But when they do that, it gives you the power to do all these miracles and things. And one thing that really amps it up quickly is sacrifice.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword, though. If you throw some human sacrifices in there, you may get a negative response. But if you pick up death, if you pick up the people who are already dead, you can throw it on there, and you still get some bonus from there. And if you teach your creature how to pick up the dead bodies,
teach your creature,
even better. Yeah, teach your creature. So then your creature just runs around and he picks up dead bodies when they die. You hear death, and you look around, the creature's picking them up, and he's taking them to sacrifice them. Next thing you know, you got full gesture motions, and you're making, you're doing the miracles, and you're winning.
You're winning.
Black and white. You're winning black and white.
Hootie42 in the chat, who never goes to lunch. I don't know what his deal is. Just can't figure it out. That's not true. He and I are always trying to schedule lunch, and it never seems to work. But anyway, he mentioned there was a patch later on in the history of that game that was trying to fix a bunch of end game issues. One of them was game breaking, but also they removed that death sound at the end. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Didn't know
Yeah.
that.
They've done that. There's several patches. There's two or three official patches that came down the pipe. But then now, if you're wanting to play black and white in 2024, and I found out while I was streaming this a lot this week, a lot of people have held on to their boxes for black and white because it's a beautiful
It's
box.
huge.
And so it's huge. And so when a lot of people were getting rid of their games and stuff, they just couldn't quite let go of that black and white. So a lot of
I
people
wish I would have kept mine, dude. I really do, because
Right.
you're not wrong. And they're talking in the chat about it. These things were almost like collector's edition sized
Yes.
boxes. It's how PC games used to
Yes.
be anyway. They were big, like cereal box size boxes, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I miss
Yeah,
that
looks
so
good
much.
on a
I mean,
shelf.
I know that's a waste of money. I know it's like all kinds of good reasons why they don't do it anymore. I get it, but
Right.
but those were the cool days, man.
Oh my God. Walking down an aisle at Fry's, looking at all these giant boxes.
So
with
much
this
shelf space
beautiful
too.
work.
Like I think
So much shelf
you
space.
can blame consoles, because consoles came along and said, "Hey, look at these tight little discs, and they're in these little things, and you
Right.
just slot them in." And those have gotten smaller over time, and they've kind of stayed the same since, like, I want to say PS3, 360 era. They haven't gotten much bigger or smaller.
No.
But they were these little things. Even the Switch games are about the same thickness or taller, but whatever.
Right.
Now that's how those are, and I feel like that forced the PC game world to go, yeah, it's a lot of shelf space that is a premium, and we're taking up too much of it with a giant
of the
black and
boxes
white
were-
box.
Yeah, most of the boxes were practically empty anyway. I mean, it was just a bunch of airspace, but it was impressive. And
Yeah.
but anyway, a lot of people have held on to those. So if you have your CD, if not, there's ways to look for archives of black and white ISO files.
The
you grab that-
archive.org method.
Right. So if you do that, and then just look up community patch or fan made patch for black and white, you'll find it.
Yeah.
There's a whole community who has created a patch that allows you to install these on Windows 7. Haha, just kidding. But you can put it on Windows 7 if you want to. But you can install it on 10 and 11. I installed it on 7, by the way.
Why'd you say 7? Why?
Because I did that. Because I
Oh.
did that foolishly
Okay.
this week. I was like, I wanted to get a more authentic experience. I said, yeah, I can use the fan patch, or I can go old school because I know that this game was released about the time XP was around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Windows 7 is pretty solid at emulating Windows XP. It's one of the best. It's one of the best OSs for if you're wanting to do Windows XP. Windows XP is a hard system to emulate and virtualize.
7
Most
was great in
virtualization-
general. 7 was a solid effort. I liked it.
Virtualization, most of virtualization doesn't want to do XP. They don't support it. Most emulation pushes right up to when CPUs were doing things that were capable of running XP, but not really well. So
Sure.
virtualization versus emulation. And so Windows XP's kind of fell straight through the crack between those two. So
Yeah.
7 is a good place to go with virtualization.
Oh man, XP was such a security nightmare though. So bad.
Yeah. XP, that was a big thing.
The
That was when we
worst.
changed. That's when we changed everything. Windows XP it was like, yeah, okay, we got to do better. And that's when we went all server model.
But it was like
got off
swapping or swatting flies. Well, I worked at a company where I was sort of in charge of our network, and even though I wasn't trained to do so, I knew it. I knew enough to do it. And they were all XP boxes, and every day some new malware, some new something was on somebody's computer, and oftentimes it was coming from disks they brought from home and stuff. It was so stupid.
Yes. XP was horrible, and they kept on trying to go past XP, and they finally said, "Wait, we need to get rid of this whole branch. Needs to be cut off." And that's when we did it. We cut off that whole thing that was branching out from what Windows XP was, and we said, "Nope."
Went with the
And now
NT
we've got
model.
We've got a much more unified operating Windows system.
It was
now.
really important they did that, and also ME was a nightmare as well. So they had that.
Yeah.
They had a rush to just get away from all of it, and I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Now let's
Yeah,
talk. Let's
yeah.
jump to the year 2002. Not 2002. Sorry, that's the expansion. Let's jump to 2005. This is a year where, much to my surprise, there was an actual sequel for Black and White called Black and White 2. We are now 19 years old on that game.
Yeah, and as a result, by law, I'm not allowed to pass out of any area. My sphere of influence does not go beyond 20 years. So if it's younger than 20 years, I can't cross it. So I didn't play Black and White 2.
I didn't either for this show, but I did play it back then, and
Never played it.
I thought it was very good.
Yes.
They decided to lean more into some city building aspects, and they added like an actual UX, well, you can see it on this video, this lower bar down here.
Remember, no Peter Molyneux at this point.
No, he's gone. He has stormed out of there by now.
Part.
Yeah. Him and a couple of the founders all had a big tizzy, and they all bolted. And then years later, the whole thing was shut down. But Molyneux's out of there. They're over at 99 Cans or whatever it is. What was the name of their new place?
What was the name of that place? You're right.
99.
I can't remember.
Oh, hold on.
All I know is that Microsoft now owns the white and black. They own everything except for the publishing, which EA still owns. So that's why we haven't seen anything from Black and White.
Right.
The franchise.
He's 64 now, this guy. Let's see.
This guy, look at him being 64. Look at him.
He was with 22 Cans. That's what it was. He left and started 22 Cans, which made the Goddess game and then never finished it. That was a real piss poor showing for a new company.
Yeah.
It's not even, you can't even buy it on the store. It's on Steam still as early access. It never got finished.
Right. Never got finished.
It's freaking, what are they doing,
it's supposed
man?
to, and if you listen to some of the people in the community, Rev Fry, it is even weirder than Black and White. And I'm like, not possible.
It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird. I played it.
I think the graphics in Black and White 1 are so creepy. I don't know how you could make it without using anything weirder than that. I just don't see how you could.
Yeah. Well, what's weird about it is just that we were excited. It was like the rebirth of Molyneux. We were like, whoa, this guy, this is his new thing. And he ends up just petered out, man. But literally, thanks, Peter, for petering out.
Thanks, Peter.
2's all right. 2 had this going for it. Let me see if I can find the clip here. I got a little sound.
This is the beginning. The birth of a god.
Of a god, yeah.
Called by one pure breath.
Biggest problem is sound mixing back then was not great. It's like the voice is too quiet, the music is too loud. Anyway, it was pretty cool. It had a lot of neat ideas. I did like make the city building part of it interesting. I liked that.
Yes.
And it was less random and stuff. But overall, I don't think they really captured what the magic of what the first one brought.
Yeah, they just they went back conservative. They went back to, like you said, city building, and that wasn't where Black and White wanted to grow to, right? It wanted to be this weird immersive thing. That too bad VR wasn't around, because I think it really would shine there.
Yeah, but the creatures like the wolf. It's a wolf this time, by the way. One of them.
Yeah.
Is way more. It's got a bunch of hair. I mean, graphically, this is a huge improvement. This is a much more modern game. 4 years of, it's amazing. I've been thinking about this because of all of our Unreal stuff, which we have a big update about in a minute. But thinking about 99 through about 2004, massive leaps in 3D rendering tech.
Yes.
Massive.
Yes.
Like it's a
huge,
really compressed time of leaps and bounds that you kind of forgot about. That you sort of forget how massive it was. It was huge.
It really set us up for disappointment later on, because I remember there was a time that every time a new system would come out, it was like night and day. It's like, there's no question. Are you upgrading? Yeah.
Of course you are.
I mean, I have to, because look at the leap we just took.
Yeah.
But now we're spoiled by that. And it's like, when I went from the from the PS4 to the PS5, I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, PS4 to PS5 is not the big leap. We are definitely crescendoing at the top of the curve. Back in those days, and even before that, like I'm saying, like Unreal Engine 1 compared to 2, which was only a couple of years later. Like it's very short amount of time later. Night and day. A massive improvement. You and I have been playing 99 and 2004. The differences between and 03 technically is the same engine as 04.
Right.
So we're really only looking at a year or something, year and a half. The jumps are enormous, right?
Huge.
And they're huge every time they do it. So back then, I mean, I'm loving revisiting it because I don't remember it being so compressed. I remember it being more spread out.
I don't either.
But I was always
it's
like,
been a long time
since
I went to a place like, it's been a long time since I went to a place like Walmart or something who has a kiosk or something, or GameStop, and went, oh, this is the new game system. Oh, hot damn.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, cool.
I mean, part of that might just be our age
compatible?
and how we view things being older or whatever. But
Right.
When I was younger, everything seemed like just 1,000 times better every time there was a new update. And I don't know.
Yeah.
We're hitting the long tail, and that's fine. That's good, actually.
Yeah.
It means that we've got our heads around it. We understand the tech better than ever. People in their basement with just themselves and some time to spare can make a game and be amazing at it. Like, I love that we've gotten here. It's just, I do kind of miss that crazy, like, have you seen Unreal Engine 2? Holy shit, you wouldn't believe it. Have you seen 3? Right? And 5, don't get me wrong, 5 is incredibly impressive. Like, it's insane what Unreal Engine 5 is, and 5.2, wherever we're at. It's incredible. Who knows what 6 will look like? But my guess is 5 and 6 will look a lot more like each other than 1 and 2 did, or 2 and 3 did.
Yeah, I mean, just take the Atari 2600. When did that come out? Like,
right.
And then jump. It's like what? I mean, when we really put our hands on it, I guess it was 1977 when the Atari 2600 first came out. But I probably didn't get my hands on it until like about the 80s. And then if you jump to like 20 years, holy shit. But then if you go 20 more years from that point, you're like, okay, I see how you got there.
I wonder how large. I always like to do this. Like you say, how much not disk space. How many kilobytes is Pac-Man? Right. I want to know how much.
Oh my God!
Like, how big is Pac-Man? It's like, I don't know, 12K.
Is it bytes or kilobytes?
It's probably even bytes, right? It's probably not even kilobytes. Right. Whatever that is, and then you figure out, you do the math, and you say, you take something even from 2005. Let's take Lionhead Studios Black and White 2. How big is that? Now, divide that by how big Pac-Man is. Like, when you start looking at just the math of how much space a thing takes,
right,
and what we expected then versus what we expect now, like, it's bananas.
24 kilobytes for the Pac-Man.
24 kilobytes? That's as big
that's
as
the
it got?
Arcade. That's the arcade. Let's see if
well, arcade's fine. That's still fine because kilobytes is nothing. Yeah. That's tiny.
128 bytes of RAM. So that's how you load it in there. So
at any given time, it was pushing that much RAM. Now you push. I don't know. Some games can push a pipe of 32 gigabytes of RAM per second.
Right.
Like, what are we even doing? Who even are we? What are we?
Suck it, distant past.
Yeah, take that, distant past.
You couldn't do nothing.
You couldn't do shit. All right, now we can do some shit. We're going to get right into this.
Destroy it.
We're going to play a game called Guess My Game. We take an old game, some audio from it, we tell each other about it a little bit, and then we try to guess what it is. We have 3 questions each to try to get the right answer, and if we don't do it, well, we lose. And if we get it right, well, then we win. If you win, you hear... Nope, that's lose. If you lose, you hear... And if you win, you hear...
Why do they have to walk that fast?
Not that. That isn't it.
Oh, I love it.
That's not it. I don't know what we'll play. Sorry.
I love that you have Nights and Dreams as your... And it's the Christmas one at that. I love that.
Why do they have to walk so fast?
I don't like Steam.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrible.
All right, Brian, I'm going to describe mine, then you're going to try to guess it. Here it is. The platform is the arcade.
Oh, Arcadia. I got you.
That's right. The year is 1979. I'm going way back. All right. You should remember this, though, because I saw it everywhere growing up.
That is a really old game. Yeah, okay. So is it... Okay, so give me 1979 arcade game.
That's right. And it's a shoot 'em up. That's your genre.
Shmup.
Sort of. Don't think shmup like shmup, though. Think of it as like you shoot shit.
Don't think
because how in Space Invaders you shoot things. Think more like that. More like that. Okay. Published by, of all companies, Nintendo. All right.
Nintendo.
So this is an arcade game from Nintendo published by them anyway. Back in 1979. Here is your audio. Whoops, that's you. Here we go.
Holy shit! That scared the crap out of me.
It's pretty loud. Some of these are such high frequency, I forget how loud they are.
Okay, all right.
Any idea? Oh, listen to this part. This is important. If you hear this, this might ring a bell. Hold on 1 second. Here we go.
I got a power up.
This is so burned into me.
Yeah, I feel like I got a power up here.
Right. Anyway, thoughts, feelings, guesses,
so
questions?
There's a guess, but this is going to be a weird way to guess it. Okay, so this very much sounds like Donkey Kong. It's got the same hardware sounds is Donkey Kong. Now, remember on the Donkey Kong episode, that Donkey Kong was actually a modified version of something they sold the shit out of in the U.S. Or they planned on selling the shit out of, and then they had to like redo it.
Interesting.
So they had a whole bunch of these things in stock.
Yeah.
If I sort of kind of remember that, and I remember it being kind of a shooter game. Was it kind of like was it vector based? What kind of looking vectorish?
That's a really great question. I don't actually know. To me, it was sort of. Yeah.
I'm sure it wouldn't be totally vector because that's not what Donkey Kong's made out of. But it looked kind of like that. They were working on pixel stuff, and I don't think they were doing pixel zooming yet. That was later on. But is there kind of a
I'm looking
board
at it now. It is kind of pixely. Well, if Space Invaders was pixely, then so is this. Sure.
Okay. All right. Is it a vertical type screen where everything on screen is kind of shooting vertically up?
It is a vertical screen, but it's more square than vertical.
Okay.
We hadn't quite locked in on that pure vertical,
Right.
like Joust vertical. It's not like that, but it's more square. It's definitely not wide. It's more square.
Right. That's not probably the game I'm thinking of, but this definitely sounds like a Donkey Kong machine. But that might just be Nintendo. That just might be the board they used.
I think it is the same. If I had to guess, it's the same board because it does sound like it, and I feel like there's some similarities. And by the way, you are that is 2 questions. You have 1 left.
2 questions? Okay, got 1 more. Nintendo 1979, you said?
Yep.
Arcade
79.
Published. Did they also do the development? Did they do the development as well?
That is a good question. It is. Yes. Published and developed by Nintendo.
Okay.
I haven't checked the chat. Let's see if they've got it.
Right.
So far, nothing. Although Mario
Okay,
Lifter is pretty funny, Captain Kipper. Nice one. Mario Lifter.
Mario Lifter, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
it's good.
I'm gonna go with Space Monkey.
Let's find out if it's Space Monkey. Is it Space
Monkey
Monkey?
from 1979.
Incorrect.
Out of a butthole.
The answer is Sheriff. Sheriff.
That's it.
Do you remember Sheriff? It was this weird. You had 8-way
we talked
shooting.
about that one.
You can shoot. It's basically like what if Space Invaders was you being surrounded in a square by a bunch of Space Invaders. In this case, they're bad guys in the Western, and you're a cowboy sharpshooter guy in the middle.
This is Miyamoto's first gig, right? Wasn't this his first?
Oh, I don't know
game?
if this was his or not. It might have been.
Yeah, I think this was his first game. I'm not sure what he did, but I think this is the first game he worked on at Nintendo, if I'm not mistaken.
And the more of these bad guys you shoot, the faster they circle around, or not circle, but run around your square. Right. They can shoot, and so can you through the barriers of the side of the thing. And then when they get in through the corners, they rush in, and now you got to fight the close guys. They have very slow bullets. You got to dodge those. It gets harder and harder, as you might imagine. It's actually really fun, and I remember playing the living hell out of this on an arcade machine. Just loving this game. Yeah, it was so good. Sheriff, 1979. Check it out if you haven't. Oh yeah, and there's this little cutscene where your girlfriend's getting chased by one of the bad guys. It's pretty great. Yeah, real simple graphics, but there's something very charming about them. I love it. So there you go. That's mine. Brian, let's try yours. Tell me what I'm looking at here.
Sure. So I'd like you to fast forward about 11 years. Nintendo is our topic again because this time the platform is the NES. The year is 1990. The genre is video board game, published by our friends over at LJN. And this was suggested by Ethereal Vision in the community. So thank you for suggesting this one.
All right, here we go.
Slaps.
It kind of does slap. Okay, is it a board game I would recognize being converted to digital? Meaning, is it like a Monopoly or something that's converted to be a TV game?
Yes, this is a well-known, popular home game. Correct, board game.
Damn, what is this?
You don't recognize this classic board game music?
Is it This is so familiar to me. What year did you say? 90?
1990.
Video board game. Published by LJN.
Yes.
LJN. Okay.
Who
Based
is-
on a popular, like a game that I would know from.
Yeah, you would have this. You would probably definitely have this in your board game collection. I'm not saying you did.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this isn't a lot of people's board game collection.
Okay. Can I ask? Here's my next question. So I've got one.
Yeah.
Here's two. Is it based on a? I don't know who makes that though. I was gonna say,
So it wouldn't matter anyway.
Yeah, I guess I just realized I don't actually know who makes that.
I can tell you I can tell you though if you would like to know. That could be one of your questions.
All right, is it Milton Bradley or the other guys? Parker
From my
Brothers.
understanding, it's always been a Mattel jam. Now, I'm not saying somebody's going to say, well, technically, Brian, it was actually owned by so-and-so, but during this year or that year. But currently, as far as best of my knowledge, it's a Mattel game.
Okay. Damn, dude. I mean, I'll just. This music doesn't sound right, but it's not Stratego, right?
No, it's not, but that's a good question.
Well, that was the
and
end.
I think
That
that's
was
your
my
third one.
That was my third one. So now I got to guess. I'm just gonna. I'm gonna guess the Game of Life.
The Game of Life, great guess. So you put you're getting married, you got kids, and you're going around the board.
Yep.
And suddenly you owe taxes, right?
Yep.
Nope, it's Pictionary.
Pictionary. Oh, what? They made a Pictionary
Pictionary
game for the. How
Yep,
would you draw with the controllers, the D-pad?
I don't know, but would it have made any difference if I had said Hasbro? I don't know if, like I said, Hasbro
no,
and
I wouldn't
Mattel
have got
have
it.
had it from. Yeah, I didn't think so.
I wouldn't have had that. So hold on, NES Pictionary.
And it's got an amazing soundtrack to it. If you just look up NES Pictionary
look at that
soundtrack, it's awesome. It's great.
I don't even know what to say about this. This is not a thing on my radar. There's something really familiar about the sound of that, but I couldn't place it. Maybe I played it and don't remember, but I was a big Pictionary nerd back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And how would you draw? D-pad? Let's see.
You can draw however you want to, D-pad.
Wait, this isn't Pictionary. Yeah, it is. What is this?
Wait a minute. This is not Pictionary.
It says Pictionary. NES Long Play Pictionary. I mean, it is revealing a drawing over there.
I mean, right? I didn't draw it though.
How would this game must have been? This must be like reveal.
Right, it's reveal stuff. Yeah, so it's more like the TV show Pictionary, I guess, than the board game. Even though they listed it as a board game.
Because it is definitely Pictionary. You choose a paint roller, a pen, a spray can as your character.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it looks like it's more of a they drew
you
it.
You play mini games, like action mini games that reveal blocks on a screen until you can, I guess the picture.
Yeah, but when you guess it, how are you prompting the game to know that you guessed it?
Right.
To say, oh, good job, you got it, or something.
Right.
I don't know. I need to play it. This is wild.
Oh, you spell it. Oh, you have to spell it out.
You do?
So
You
there's like
spell it?
there's a little wheel down at the bottom of alphabets, and you roll these little shoes over each of the letters, and you spell out what it is.
Okay, I'm legit curious about this game. This is wild.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild. All right. Well done, dude. That's a good one. That's a banger.
Yeah, thank the Etro Vision for that recommendation. I was not familiar with this, and I really dug the music. So thank you for that.
We all got a big fat on our guesses today. It's okay though.
Mm-hmm.
Now these.
Welcome to the treasure room.
I see. At the end, there's a timer, and then you go.
Yeah,
and you
have to roll
cycle
and guess
through it, and so if you get it faster than somebody else got it and get it correct, I don't know. That's wild. Weird trying to gamify something like that where you don't actually draw it. All right, let's get to some listener feedback. We got an email to start with here. Oh, this might actually be. a text. I don't remember. Either way, send us your emails to playretroshow@gmail.com or send your texts to 801-471-0462. Here's the text from a person. Doesn't have the name. Hi, Play Retro. Oh, no, it does. My name is Sam from
citizen.
Canada. He's from Canada, so that's cool.
Canada.
Let's do this for him since he's from Canada. Where is it? Here it is. Nope. Come on, Scott.
Canada!
There it is. This is from Canada. Here's what he says. I got to get back to the right tab. Here we go. Hello, Play Retro. My name is Sam from Canada. I'm just messaging you guys because I discovered your podcast about 3 months ago, and I really love it. Well, thank you. I'm trying to catch up to the current episodes, and I'm currently only at episode 60. Anyway, Scott keeps mentioning Advance Wars, but as far as I can see, looking at the episode names, you still have not done it. That is true. We haven't.
True story. True story. We promised.
Says I'm a huge fan of Nintendo Wars series and would love for you guys to cover at least the main ones, being Advance Wars and Battalion Wars. But knowing Brian, there are probably also some fun to be had with Famicom Wars and Game Boy Wars. Anyways, thanks for the reading and hope that you review them both. P.S. Best one of the Advance Wars games is Days of Ruin, Dark Conflict in the EU. Yeah, a lot of people think that. I'd love to do Advance Wars, dude.
Totally. We need to do it. We've talked about it. They were going to, did they ever release the new one on?
They did finally. Happened last year.
Yeah. And
yep.
That was our whole plan. It was like, it was going to coincide and it got delayed for some reason. And then I think we kind of, we got distracted.
Well, it got delayed because of the Ukraine thing.
Yes.
And then Nintendo was just quiet about the final. They finally did it, but they just weren't very loud about it. They were just like, well,
no, they weren't.
It's out anyway. Working on other stuff, like they just kind of like didn't make a big deal out of it. But by all accounts, it's real strong and real good. And I meant to pick it up. I kind of need a new Switch though. I'm kind of done with my current Switch. It's like,
mine is either first or second generation full size Switch. So I mean, it is well overdue. I probably need the OLED upgrade, but I'm like, do I really want to do the OLED upgrade? When are they going to release the Switch 2? They keep talking about it. Have they done it yet?
That's what I want right there. Well, they don't talk about it. We do, but they don't.
Yeah.
And they need to hurry. 2017 was a while ago now. Come on, new console. Let's go.
So long ago.
But anyway, to that point, we will do that game. I promise. That series, it's that good. And there's so many games that do really good jobs of basing themselves on that. There's a couple of Steam games that I love that are a lot like Advance Wars, and I'm a huge fan of those. You just dyed in the wool. I love them. In fact, you know what? That Ambernick comes in. That's the first game I'm going to play on there again.
You're going to be the first thing you're going to do. Suck it.
Take that, Pud Monkeys. Anyway. Here's a text from Alan who wrote in, says, Spy versus Spy, my Commodore 64. I am sure I wore that floppy out. I often listen to Play Retro on my way to D&D that I still play with some guys that I started with back in the 80s as a kid. That's awesome. Listening to you two talk about old games. You put listing. And then playing D&D make for a nostalgic trip of an evening. Thank you, Alan, he says. Well, Alan, that's awesome. First of all. Second of all, Spy versus Spy. We didn't do the episode on that, did we? Yeah.
No, we didn't. We discussed it, but we haven't actually done the episode.
We should do that. Yeah, it deserves it.
Totally do that.
And I can go off on my Mad Magazine years. I have some old shit. I could pull out some old like 60s or 70s and 80s issues of Mad Magazine and hold them up on camera. I get so much.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So we should make a big deal out of that. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
That's coming up at some point. Now, everything you've all been waiting for.
Ludicrous kill. Holy shit.
That's right. We got the Unreal Report. As you know, we've got this UT99 server. It's been running. We've been filling it with people, having a blast. You want to hear the top 10 players this week, everybody at home, do you? Well,
and it's a much bigger list this week because we have had over 100 unique players who've hopped on the UT99 server over the past week, and that's password protected and only word of mouth. So that's pretty freaking impressive. So these top 10 people are not just top 10 people. They're pretty darn good.
Yeah, they're pretty freaking good. Here are some names that if you've been playing on there, you'll recognize some of these dominators. At number 1, Surge. He's currently killing everybody. Number 2, Flap Jackson. He dealt all kinds of problems for me the other night.
He's been slapping me.
Yeah, real poo-poo head. Denier, also incredible. Denier, so good. Just dominates the games I'm in with him. Spaghetti Syntax at number 4. He doesn't just make games. He dominates them.
He does.
At number 5, yours truly, Frog Pants, right there in the middle of the pack. I am trying to get higher, and I will. But I'm doing
pretty good, though. Just middle of the pack of the top 10. That's still pretty impressive.
Still pretty good. Then we got number 6, Adhesive Wombat. Number 7, our very own Brian Dunaway goes under the name Shock Effect. He's in there at number 7. Nicely done.
I slipped one this week away from you. Yeah,
that's right.
Wombat squeezed it in there.
Yeah, I blame Wombat for that. Corey D. Willis at number 8, Rubelax at number 9, and Stinky Pete at number 10. Bringing
Stinky
up the rear.
Pete.
Yep. Love playing with you guys. We're going to keep that going. And I guess you played the Relic Mutators on Mutator Friday, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like the
That's
relics.
what we did last week. That's
the
what we
relics
played last
fun.
week. We played the Relic Mutators, which are the ones that allow you to have like super strength. You pick them up. They're dropped around the map. You pick those up. There's there's a couple of them. There's some that gives you extra health. There's some that give you extra power. Some that gives you extra jumpies. And then the one I love the most, which is the Relic Redeemer, which whenever someone kills you, it blows up a Redeemer bomb. Now that is satisfying.
It feels real good. You end up wiping out like 6 other guys as they spawn over there.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
That's the way to do some gibbing.
Anyway, Gib, it's the Gib that just keeps on gibbing, really.
Yeah.
Big shout out to some of the other Frog Pants voices who showed up for this. Coverville was there, aka Brian Ibbett, Amy, aka Red Fraggle, Scott Fletcher showed up and played a bunch with us. That was awesome. We'll have more of this coming up soon. And also, Brian set up an Unreal Tournament 2004 server, and I could not be happier about this because here's the deal. UT99 classic, okay, all-time classic.
People love it.
UT 2004, arguably the peak of all Unreal ever.
Yes.
It's really good. And I want to play some of that large map crap in there.
There's vehicles in this one. It's a much the engine is newer. We've got fancier graphics. It moves a little slower for me. But this is true of the Quake series as well. The first ones are really fast. I like how those feel. This feels a little more floaty to me, and it takes a little longer to kill the other guys. But there's no mistaking.
Guess what's in there though? They got there's a mutator in there to have it be the movement speed of the original Unreal. If you want
the original, I did not know that. Let's try that.
I think it just says UT99 speed is the mutator name.
Ooh, yes, please give me the faster speed. I'm all about the speed. I need it. I don't mind. It feels fine to me, but I'm sure that it's a little slower. I think that the overall weapons feel and stuff, all that stuff improved in 2004, and that. Yes. Large map vehicle shit like the assault mode. What was the other mode? The like football one where you got a ball and you're trying to attack the base. What's it called? Soccer?
No, it's like something ball. Monster
something ball. Murder ball. Is it murder
like
ball?
That.
I always wanted to be murder ball.
Super, super fun if enough people join up. So I really want to get in there and try that. I also think the rocket launcher in there is vastly improved over the previous one.
Yeah.
And also your pistol, your default weapon also has 5 grenades to launch in it, and having that be part of your basic weapon is actually pretty rad. Anyway, I want to play all of this. I just want to play. It's all I want to do. This is all I'm into right now. I don't know what's happened, but it's 25 years ago. That's all I want to do. This is it.
It's so much fun.
This is it right here. Anyway,
25 years. Happy 25th Unreal Tournament 2004. You're still a king.
Oh, and if you guys, if you already have UT 2K4 and you're like, well, how come this won't go to 16:9 widescreen? It does, and Brian had the simplest way to do it. It's literally like I pull down the console and type in, what was the thing? Something 1080. What was it?
It's like set res
1080
by 1080.
Yeah. And it just did it, and now it stayed, and it's saved, and it's fine, and I never had to think about it again. And you can do higher resolutions than that, but that's just an example. It's great. Anyway, retrogib.com, or retrogib, that's how that's spelled. Retrogib.com has details on all this stuff, and we're going to do clans. I mean, we're going all in, dude.
Yeah, we got the clans already set up. We've got the PLRT, the PLRT, Play Retro clans on. If you look for the PLRT over on GameTracker.com, it has our server information. You can join the clans there. We're having a good time.
Yep. Retrogib.com will have links to all of it, so you don't have to think too hard about it. I don't know how people... Now, this is a different problem than UT99. Like, if people don't have 2K4 already, in some way, what do we do there? Is there a similar kind of path we can take?
Yeah. If you go to, if you look for archives of the Unreal Tournament 2004. It's the same thing. You can't purchase it anywhere. This is not our fault as fans of the franchise. and the communities are still highly active in making patches for this stuff. So, I'm not telling you what you can or can't do. I'm just saying I don't feel bad about that, but I didn't have to do it because I'm the same way as you. I looked in my Steam library and
You
already had it. You
yeah.
have your good
Same.
old games library.
And a lot of you probably do. John checked his. He had it. A lot of people already have 04. If you don't have 04, you probably bought it back in the day, and you can feel okay about taking one of these links somewhere happy. So go check it out. That's retrogib.com for all the details. Our next game discussion is going to be one that changed the rental world forever. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Next week, we are talking about The Lion King. And this thing, literally, one of the great adaptations of an IP to the SNES in the history of that console. Nobody denies that. Nobody denies the quality and the goodness of The Lion King. It was a solid game. However, there's some dirty dirt going on in that game that was designed to make it so that you would not beat it on your first rental. You would have to keep coming back and keep going to Blockbuster.
There was a real fight going on between Nintendo and specifically Blockbuster about game rentals, and NES thought they had the answer, and it was a shit answer. We were right in the middle of it. Thanks a lot, Nintendo.
Yeah, it was real weird. So we're going to talk about that and what made that game great. Kind of compare it to Aladdin and some of the other stuff that was happening around then. So check that out. That'll be next week. We go back to Nintendo, the well of Nintendo, and we talk about The Lion King for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System and the NES version of all that stuff. That's all coming up. In the meantime, I'd like to thank some new patrons that have joined us on the podcast. Chris, CJ, and Oslin McColgan. I think that's right. You guys are awesome. Thank you for joining us. You get no commercials ever. You get pre-show content every week and other cool benefits. They can only be yours if you go sign up today at patreon.com/playretro. Everything else is at frogpants.com/playretro. And that is going to do it for us. Brian, is there anything else you'd like to... Are we going to play today? What are we doing? Are we going to play a little of the
I
thing?
plan on playing today. I wasn't sure what your schedule was, but I was hoping to play it at 6 p.m. That's the schedule for Friday nights with the Unreal Tournament. It's up to you whether we want to do 2004 or if we want to do UT99 or a little bit of both, because I don't think everybody's got theirs installed yet. So maybe play a little UT99.
Let's hop in 04 to see what it looks like in there.
Yeah, let's just see.
We'll figure it out. So I need about a half hour to post the show, and then you guys who are here live, you can come right back and be a part of this. Go get your UT 2K4s installed right now if you want to play with us. And if it doesn't work out and we can't get enough people, we'll jump over to UT99 anyway. All right? Because both are running. We got them both up there.
We got them both up there, baby.
That's going to do it for us. Listen, everybody within the sound of our voice, go play something retro. All right?
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
Get more at frogpants.com.
Keep away from the water!
Stop!
Keep away from the water!
Don't go to the water!